Welcome back to On the Cusp. And with me today is my co-host, Matt Snyder. Matt, thanks back. But today it's really special for us to have Mr. Roy Griggs with us here today, Griggs Enterprise. I know you and I and the BRF have worked closely together on multiple projects. It's always a pleasure working with you. But Matt and I were sitting going, who do we want on the Cusp to tell their story?
That might have been the first name that, like, the dream
name that came up with.
My friend.
We want to hear the Roy Griggs story.
David and Matt, thank you guys for having me, and I hope I won't disappoint you today. I'm a little country boy from Meridian, Mississippi, and my family is there, back there now. I have a brother who moved to Shreveport with me. My story began in 1972 with McDonald. I was working at a restaurant in Meridian at that time, and unbeknown to me, the owner of the McDonald's, I came in and I waited on. And I made good money then, but I wasn't happy because I wasn't treated fairly. And how the McDonald's story began, one of the waitresses wanted to go to McDonald's and apply for a job there. She didn't have a card, so I agreed on a break I would take her to McDonald's. And while there, I just filled out an application, not expecting to go to McDonald's, no thought that McDonald's was a place for me. But the way it happened, they called me in for the interview. Didn't call the young lady that really wants to work there. So this was in '72 in Meridian, Mississippi, and the store at McDonald's that it was building had a basement in it. So you had to go downstairs into the basement for the interview. So I went down in the basement. There's just two white people sitting there, husband and wife. I didn't know them. And when I walked in, they said, "That's him." And so, I turned 3 shades of red because they were like, y'all don't know me. What did I do? It wasn't me. So they saw the weird expression on my face. So they quickly explained to me they were wondering if I was the young man that waited on them when they came to the restaurant that I was working at. They were so impressed with how I handled the service and my service and the total experience. So they offered me a job at McDonald's. So I left the little restaurant, making pretty good money, went to work for McDonald's as a grill person, making hourly wages, which was probably about a third of what I was making at the restaurant. My good chips because I was the head waitress. I handled all the banquets and things like that. But the storyline was I wasn't treated fairly. I didn't feel valued there. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'll just go to McDonald's until I find something else. But I didn't know what I was walking into. I didn't know how organized McDonald's was. I didn't know how those owners treated employees. They made me really felt special, valued, and growing up in Mississippi, back then McDonald's was like really a big deal. And for me to get a job at McDonald's, oh man, that was great. Folks said, how'd you get a job at McDonald's? I walked in, they hired me. But it was because of my attitude, my work ethic and all that. And I tell this story to a lot of my employees today. If I hadn't had a really, really bad attitude, had not done a good job, my whole career would turn out totally different. So beginning to work at McDonald's, I moved up through the rank quickly. And within 2 years, I was a restaurant manager at the McDonald's in Meridian, Mississippi. 2 years later, little country boy had never flown before. I flew to Chicago to go to Hamburger University. And that was the icing on the cake for me, taking me from Meridian to a whole different world in Chicago, and to experience the campus there, to hear the story about Ray Kroc, to talk about the think tank and where he made all his decisions, and just to walk on that campus. To me, I call it hamburger heaven. So after that, it just really enhanced my my passion for McDonald's. But the guy David I worked for was just phenomenal. How he treated all his employees. Mm-hmm. The one who worked the best, who deserved the opportunity, the one who got the opportunity. He didn't see color, and so that is how I got to McDonald's. It was by accident, but it's been the best ride of my life. And this month, I celebrate 50 years with McDonald.
Congratulations.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Shreveport? You had all that, and it just...
Okay. Now, I worked for the owner operator for 16 years. I got my first right to own a McDonald's in 1989, and that was in Thomasville, Alabama, which is about 100 miles north of Mobile. It was a small rural community there, and we had some difficulty going there because it was a predominantly white community. This was in 1989, but I have to go back into my roots. In Mississippi, we lived between two white neighbors. Back then, they had those Jim Crow laws where if the power line had to come across their property, they had to give a rite of passage. And so for years in my early life in school, we didn't have electricity. We didn't have indoor plumbing. We were really, I know we were poor though, but we were really poor. But the thing I learned, my mother, she had a passion, a zeal for trying to make things better for us. So she would go to this white person maybe 3 or 4 times a year, ask would he give a rite of passage. He would say no. And to make a long story short, it was several years, but she always treated him kind, polite. Now as kids, we wanted to do something like this.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know anything about it. You treat us bad, we just thought you just treat them bad. But she showed us a better way of getting things done. Over the years, she wore him down. I don't think he did it because he felt it was the right thing to do. This woman's just not going to give up. You know?
She just won.
Yeah, she won.
wore him down.
So I learned that early on. As I got older, I reflect back on that because when I went to Thomasville, Alabama, when they found out I was a black operator, I couldn't live in the neighborhood I wanted to. I couldn't buy the house I wanted to buy. And so I could play the race card, I could say all this, but my whole career would have been totally turned out different. So I had to learn how to make the best out of a bad situation because I knew in my heart, once they get to know Roy Griggs, it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
And we stayed there 8 years in Thomasville, and they got to know us. We was the greatest thing that happened. I told the mayor when I went there, I said, my goal is to make you guys proud. And you're going to say, we are proud to have Roy Griggs and his family here, and this is our McDonald's. And sure enough, that was what happened over the course of the 8 years. I was nominated for Citizen of the Year, and all kind of accolades were given to us. And when we announced that we were leaving Thomasville, the town went into a complete shock. They could not believe it. And it wasn't because we didn't enjoy working there, but there was not a lot of opportunities in that area. We went to McDonald's and said, we'd like to have an opportunity to relocate. Are there some markets around that you think that we can take a look at? So the first one was Mobile, and it was Pritchett and Mobile, and we didn't like that area, so I didn't take that one. Then they brought up Shreveport. And back then, I didn't know Shreveport the way I know it now. It was not very attractive from what I heard, which you see, and folks that have been through Shreveport, who lived at Shreveport, always said, Shreveport is not a good place to raise a family. Crime is high, drugs is bad, their racism is bad. Based upon that, we're not going to Shreveport, we'll wait for another opportunity. But again, God gave me favor with the general manager of McDonald, of that region. He said, well, Roy, just go take a look at it. Our first visit was a weekday. I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We came and visited Shreveport. The first visit, it felt right in my heart. I knew it was a place, but being a stubborn black male, no, it's not right, because what I heard, and I said, we're going to come back and go back on a weekend. And we're going to really see what it looks like. If you don't know anything about Shreveport, I didn't know where to find those pockets, maybe where if there was drugs or shooting and all that. So on the main corridors there, everybody was so friendly and cordial, and I made a point to walk up and say, Matt, can you tell me direction? I want somebody to say, boy, or cuss me out. I go, okay, I can't come in. But it didn't happen. After that, I go like, well, honey, I guess we're going to Shreveport. And we hadn't even looked at the deal or anything. When I looked at the deal, I go like, oh, where do I sign? Because they wanted someone to come in and try to change the brand image of McDonald's in Shreveport. At that time, the brand image here was not very favorable. And so we had done a lot in Thomasville and working with the community and understand how important it is to be successful, to be good community.
And you still do that today. You are involved in a lot of things.
That's part of who I am. And I think it's so important to give back because Shreveport has really been good to me and my family. And when we're able to give back, I think it's just, we have to do that. Because I believe that what much is given, much is required. And we have to try and do that because I found out that Shreveport is a good place to live and to work. And then we have an opportunity to try to do things to help make it even better.
Right.
Talking about being involved in the community, I mean, one thing that really I just was blown away by was the body camera deal. So, I mean, like, there was a need, and a lot of times in Shreveport, you'll see everybody kind of is talking about something, but it takes a leader, which you are, to step up. Can you talk about how that all happened?
That happened on the heels of the George Floyd incident. And I was saying, we can't have that happen here in Shreveport. What can I do? And I started pondering, how can we help make a difference here or try to make sure nothing like that happened here? And it goes back to the cell phone. I say now, if someone had not had that cell phone out, we probably would not have known what really happened. And I say, well, then body cams. We don't have body cams for our policemen here. I say, body cams, I use the word, they are ginger or body neutral. They're not going to lie. It is what it is. They're going to show what actually happened. It's going to protect our citizen. It's going to protect the policeman. But some were afraid to do their job because of what might be said and all of that. I said, but the camera will help with that. What if maybe we try to put a team together and buy some body cams for the police department? And that's how that came about. And I reached out to some of my good friends, and they all jumped on board. And within a month, we had a commitment for $200,000 to buy
that's
body
amazing.
cams.
Yeah.
And I think leaders like yourself and leaders that stepped up and said, hey, here's a solution that'll actually help us.
Right. See, it's important. And the leaders that stepped up weren't all black.
Right.
See, I said this maybe earlier. This was a great community. I had black support, I had white support, because we couldn't have done it without their support. And we all recognized that was a great need, and we all felt like that was a great way to try to combat some of the issues that was going on here, supplying those body cams.
No, when you get Phil Barbary, I love Phil. You must, when you bring those guys, and then people follow, because people see you guys as such
leaders. They see your
leaders.
leadership. They see you out there. They will follow you. They will participate.
There's so many great leaders in this city, and I'm just proud to be able to make that happen, but I couldn't have done it, so it's not just me, it was all the other great business owners that stepped up and citizens that stepped up to make it possible.
Well, I think that's one of the things we don't talk enough about in Shreveport is that there is a lot of great things, and that's why Matt and I call this on the cusp, right? There are a lot of great things going on, and when we work together towards a common goal, and it doesn't matter whether it's economic development or body cams, we solve the problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think sometimes folks just need to be asked, and then if the right leader who has the right motive and for the right reason, very giving community here. I've seen time after time all the great work and the great deeds of so many great citizens here. We have to have a better, I think, marketing plan for Shreveport, that we can saying that when somebody
That's
moved
right.
in.
That's right.
All the good things that's happened here. Where we're centrally located, I think is a big plus. The fine medical corridor that we have here. It's just so many great things that goes on here that get pushed under the corporate. And I applaud y'all for what you're doing. And I'm excited about being here. I get excited about talking about Shreveport. And we're not where we will be. I just believe the glass is not half empty. I think it's half full.
Yes.
As we continue to build upon it, we're going to burst open soon.
I just appreciate you so much leading by example. I mean, in Shreveport, there's so many times that we'll be out at the golf course or whatever, and there's a lot of tables in that room not saying very nice things about Shreveport and whatnot, and everything's doom and gloom and bad. And I think part of all of our role is to be an example of what black and white, old, young, positive people moving Shreveport forward look like.
Right.
And I appreciate you for that. I mean, you're the catalyst of that.
Well, it just goes back to my humble beginning. I tell you, we didn't have much, but we were taught to appreciate what we had and try to make it a difference. And like I said, my sweet mother, who died at the young age of 47, taught me so much about life, and how to be successful, and to just take pride in your name. We didn't have nothing growing up, just the basic. And she said, whatever you do, don't you go out and damage the image of the Griggs name. That name means something. Your great-grandfather. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you one more thing, just a business question, and maybe we'll edit this off or put it somewhere else. But staffing. Yeah. So staffing is a big issue that a lot of people are talking about right now, and as I've watched it, you can definitely see at your McDonald's. Can you talk on that?
Absolutely. I'm fortunate enough to have 16 McDonald's, and every one of those stores are short on staffing. We're probably about half way of staffing at the level we had prior to the pandemic. Average store used to have about 60 employees. My 24-hour store had maybe 70 to 80 or 85 employees. We're averaging probably about 30, 35 employees now. And it's a different world. Their work ethics, their attendance is different. And what we do when we hire them, what days you want to work, what hours you want to work, and okay, you got it. They may come to work, or they may even show up for the first day, or they'll work a couple of days, no show, no call, come back in the next day. What happened? Oh, I didn't feel like coming to work. Did you call? Well, I didn't feel good. Well, we need to know what. But that's what we deal with now. And prior to the pandemic, a couple of no calls, no shows, you're out.
Yeah.
But because we are short-staffed now.
Yeah, you don't have that luxury.
Right. And I think they know that. So they're taking advantage of us. But I do see it getting a little bit better.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you finding anything that's working that other business owners...
Well, if I had to answer, boy, I would package it and I'd be a millionaire.
Selling it out, yeah.
But I don't think anyone really knows the real answer, because I thought by this time that we would be back to a normal workforce. But it's all across the country. It's in every area of business, not just in fast food, service industry, manufacturing. You can't get parts, So it's just a different world now, and we just got to keep finding different ways of trying to attract folks in. I went and opened up a training center, have a personnel just like 5 days a week, 8 to 5, so that we can really just get all the application done correctly, all the basic training done there, because sometimes the store's being short-staffed, wasn't able to do all that training.
Right.
So
you're trying to run a restaurant, you can't spend all that
you're
time.
already tight.
Right.
Already.
So I'm still believe it's going to get better, and we still have to aim for 100% customer satisfaction. We don't always hit that, but that has to be the goal. And I tell my staff now, the pandemic is over. We can't use that as a crutch. We've got to go in there and execute and continue to work on getting back to where we were, staffing-wise, quality-wise, service-wise. I know we've a couple of short, but do the very best you can to try to accommodate our guests as they come in or come to the drive-through. That's my goal. It's even harder on me because I expect so much out of my folks because they have given so much. And I talked to my leaders. I said, the reason why I expect because you all have proven to me over and over again you make it happen. I said, so I just believe you can get it done.
Let me ask you one more thing to close this out. Is Shreveport still a good place to run a business?
Absolutely. I'm still here.
Still got Roy Griggs.
I'm still investing in my restaurants here. I don't plan on going anywhere. I still believe in Shreveport. Great opportunity here. And so I plan to retire here in Shreveport.
You're never retiring. Roy, you're never retiring.
Well,
we'll play a little more golf.
Yeah, but you see, I've been blessed. Like I said, I'm 69 years old, and I have very little health issues, and I wake up every morning feeling great. I think I can tackle the world, I think I can still work in the restaurant. I go in, I talk a lot of noise, but a lot of the kids I'm bluffing. I'm the best grill person ever. I'll take you on that grill like that. And see, I don't know my story. And they think, I was born rich and all that. And I'll get back there on that grill and go, oh, a little bit. I go, I know a little bit.
Oh, wow. Well, we Shreveport, Bossier, are fortunate to have you. We're blessed. And thank you for coming here today and telling us your story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.